Hey, Retcon Raider here, and welcome back. Today, the Retcon Raiders have been hired to hunt down whatever beasts are terrorizing the town of New Farn. And of course, while we're at it, we're waiting for the latest ambition to proc, since we have met our goal of 10,000 gold crowns. Ever the downer, Rondus the Uncleaved mopes around, wallowing in victory as good as any pissy pessimist could. He throws a dismissive hand out. We have tasted victory, and what of it? Our victory was their defeat, so it very well may be that one day someone else's victory is going to come at our expense, don't you see? Let us not put the cart in front of the horse, lest the shadows of morrow sneak upon us, whilst we bask in this supposedly glorious light. A few sellswords tell him to stop being such a prick, but his blunt realism tempers the zeal of the others. The worst part about pessimists is that they're usually right. Well, way to be a downer, Rondus. Alright, well, you know the drill. We've been on hunts... Oh. Your increased store of coin and other valuables lets you sleep easier. The men do too, knowing that they won't have to chase you across the steppe when payroll is due. You'll no longer be at a disadvantage when it comes to contract negotiations, and you'll not end up short on men or equipment should a battle or two go against you. Your new reserve also begins to open doors for the Retcon Raiders. Merchants, moneylenders, and nobles have one thing in common. They prefer to rub elbows with their own kind. Merely getting an audience can be a chore if they suspect you have empty pockets, but now that you've proven yourself to be a man of resource, the company has become more attractive to wealthy individuals and decision-makers. Well, that's another ambition down, we gain more renown, and pretty much everyone has gained a good bit of morale, which should hopefully offset the damage that Rondus the Pessimist just did. Alright, now back to the hunt. It looks like a pack of Noxerer. 14 of them, a veritable swarm. Now, classically, I don't engage enemies in battle at night. It really does a number on our archers. But we're at the point where I can't really afford to waste much time with camping anymore, so we're just going to get in there. And here they come, the first of the ravenous horde. Eager to strip away our flesh and crack open our bones to get at the delicious marrow within. Gruesome stuff. Alright, all told, this doesn't actually look that bad. It looks like we're primarily dealing with smaller, weaker Noxerer, with 2 mediums mixed in. Our archers aren't going to be able to do much, but hopefully we can land a few lucky shots. We've landed 3 hits in a row so far. Well done, archers. And while Mark did not strike the intended target, he did cripple a smaller Noxerer behind it. The rest of the men will hold steady. I should have had the presence of mind to order them to switch off to spears before we entered this fight, but I think we should be fine. I know these Noxerer could have reached me. They wouldn't have had enough action points left to attack, but it's a bit peculiar to see them hanging back like that. We'll have to step up and begin the fight ourselves. Yeah, they've essentially created their own battle line. Don't think I've ever seen the Noxerer do that before. There we go. That badly wounded medium Noxerer engaged goon. Well, while I applaud his bravery, that makes him a prime target, so he won't be long for this world. Nicely done. Fox strikes the killing blow, and follows up by shooting another Noxerer's face clean off. Potato finishes off our second Noxerer. The downside being that now the battlefield is becoming littered with Noxerer food. So let's get the melee fighters in there. Unfortunately, our heavy flails aren't finding their targets. I definitely should have switched off to spears for the accuracy bonus. Though Roderick managed to shatter some fingers there. Ah, and Rondis slices off another Noxerer's nose. Alright, now Faceless Goon joins the fray and fells the foe wounded by Rondis, and a second Noxerer to boot. It looks like the Noxerer are taking advantage of the end-of-round maneuvering to start moving up into positions where they can take advantage of all those corpses we just created. Though Sergeant Baggins and Vlad certainly have something to say about that. Nicely done, boys. Okay, we don't have any significant end-of-round maneuvering to do ourselves, so... Oh, though IGOT has just enough action points for one last swipe. Unfortunately, it's a miss, so let's move on to round 3. And here they come. That's 1 corpse devoured, 2, 3. Some light damage to our front line. Now that's the one we have to watch out for, those medium Noxerer who have just moved up onto fresh corpses. Well, we've definitely reduced their number, but unfortunately we were unable to prevent the smaller Noxerer from feasting on all those bodies. And our archers are having so much trouble hitting with arrows. I think I'm just going to go ahead and have them all switch off to their pole arms. They may be able to contribute more that way. Though thus far, the odds have not worked in our favor. 3 long axe swings, and none of them connected. And there's Henry showing them how it's done by stabbing the banner through the hand of a Noxerer, and Vlad breaking the morale of another. And there's a sprained ankle. And another broken morale. And of course we need to be wary about Roderick. He's on his own on the north end there, surrounded on 3 sides. Even though one of those 3 Noxerer seems ready to flee, he may still contribute an accuracy bonus to the other 2. A lot of injuries, a lot of flesh wounds, no fatalities this round. Now they lay into us once more. Half of Roderick's armor has been clawed away, and half of Oswald's has been torn off as well. And now our archers get another chance. There's Mark Richards doling out a kill and a severed artery. And Vlad shearing off the ear of another Noxerer. Ah, there we go. The archers just needed to warm up is all. They don't get a lot of chances to use these long axes, so it just took a few practice swings. Alright, well at this point I might as well start finishing off the ones who are ready to flee, while we move up whoever we can to support Roderick, though he seems to be doing quite well on his own. Yeah, at this point the fight's more or less over. Move into round 5, and I can't imagine the fight will last much beyond that. Alright, the pole armors aren't close enough to attack, so we'll hold them off for now. Though Henry has an open shot. And he takes full advantage of it, nicely done. And then Vlad has an open shot, and he doles out a pierced shoulder. But at this point there are only 2 medium Noxerer left on the field, one of them with its morale broken, and the other with a crippled shoulder. Let's see. Got can close in, but he wouldn't be able to attack, so he'll hold back. Casimir will step in, though, and Roderick will focus on... Oh. Unfortunately, Roderick is now exhausted, so Faceless Goon will step in. And he doles out another solid hit, though the Noxerer stubbornly clings to life. Alright, let's just go ahead and move everyone in then. At this point, someone just needs to land that one last finishing blow. So now the question is just who is it? Who is going to finish this fight for the Raiders? It's not going to be Bunny. But next we have Vlad, and he actually does know how to wield a polearm, so the odds are in his favor. And there you go. The beasts have been slain, the hunt has been complete. I see we have a 4-way tie for MVP, and a handful of teeth as loot. We'll leave whatever we can't fit in our pockets. And dead Noxerer are scattered about. You take a knee beside one and look at its mouth. Whatever was in its lungs is still issuing forth, a wheeze burping out. Putting a cloth to your nose, you use the other hand to chop away at its neck with a blade, cutting off the head and holding it up. You order a few brothers to follow suit, for Adler the merchant will be expecting proof. Okay, with the corpses freshly butchered, we return to New Farn, our bag of severed heads in tow. A steely-eyed Adler the merchant leans forward to get a good look at the Noxerer head you've brought in. This is quite the sight, mercenary. I'm happy you have brought it to me. He leans back. Leave it on my desk. Maybe I can scare the children with it. The little gits are getting too used to fineries, methinks. He snaps his fingers and a servant comes to give you 900 crowns. A successful hunt indeed. Alright, well I see we've got a 3-skull contract here, but I'm going to hold off for the moment. I'd actually like to take care of a bit of bookkeeping before we commit ourselves to another contract. And welcome back. It turns out the 3-skull contract was to escort a caravan to Holness Land to the northeast. And since I wanted to travel to the frozen reaches of the north anyway, it seemed an ideal opportunity to earn 1,000 gold. But as you can see, en route, we have been intercepted by a band of orc marauders. It looks like it's just orc young, and actually oh, here they come, okay. For a second there, I thought they were going to ignore us and just let us pass right through. Alright, Raiders, let's do it to it. First, a swarm of ravenous Noxerer, and now a veritable horde of young, foolish orc warriors. And we have a very ideal starting position with a lot of elevated perches for our archers, so let's see which of our archers can make the shortest work of these green-skinned fiends. Now, looking at their lines, I see we have 3 orc axes we have to be wary of. The rest seem to be primarily armed with clubs, so that's a much lesser concern. Ooh, 2 crippling wounds doled out by Potato. Ooh, and ever stoking on their rivalry, Mark doles out another crippled arm, followed by two fatalities. But undeterred, the orc young continue to rush over the bodies of their fallen brethren, eager to join battle. Well, the rest of our frontliners will hold their ground, prepared for the charge. And while the orcs seem to be eager to take advantage of that elevated terrain, since I'm not moving up to engage them, all they're really doing right now is wasting their action points and slowing their approach. That's something I'll happily take advantage of. In fact, just to be on the safe side, since we know how these orc charges can disrupt our front line, I'm going to set everyone on shield wall, except for Chiron, who will instead prepare his spear. I really wish you could set pole arms. That's fine, caravan hands. Just hang back. We've got this. Archers. Unfortunately, the lead orcs are armored, but that's fine. Our archers can still whittle down their armor. And we have contact. Looks like Reinhardt has been stunned, but our archers are undeterred. Ooh, and now Igot has been stunned as well. And that does seem to have rattled the archers somewhat. I'm seeing a lot of misses now. And unfortunately, Roderick becomes the third and latest of our brothers to be stunned by the charging beasts. It looks like Mark hasn't gone yet. He doesn't have much in the way of clean shots here, so I guess I'll just fire right over Rondis's head. For all the good it did him. I guess those horns interfere with his aim. Now I am, of course, tempted to engage with Siren, but with all these orcs ready to wrap around our southern line, it's best to keep him on the defensive. There's a broken nose doled out to one orc. And Vlad eagerly takes the opening to plunge his pike into the same orc's face. That brings it down to less than a dozen orc young now. And here comes a small barrage of orc javelins, nothing to worry about just yet. Igot has been stunned once more, consistently keeping him out of the fight. But Reinhardt finally gets to go. Though he can't get past that orc brute's shield. There we go. Fox handily dispatches another orc on our front line. And despite being stunned, it looks like Igot wards off two more orc javelins. Now Roderick. Once again, he is becoming quickly outnumbered on the northern side. And he's unable to find purchase with his flail. But on the south side, Siren is still keeping things clear. Now Rondis. Rondis doles out a deep abdominal cut, then swiftly follows up by slaying the orc he had crippled. And he theoretically has enough action points to advance, but even for someone with his supreme confidence, I think he'd be hesitant to engage 3 orcs at once. But I do think Siren will finally move up. That, of course, gives Sergeant Baggins an opening to hop up onto the elevated perch and dole out a vicious stab to the gut of that orc. And you know what? Rondis will move up now that Siren is in a support position. Round 4. Once again, the caravan hands hold back. That's just fine with me. And we dole out more crippling wounds. I got this shatters a nose. Woe pierces a thigh muscle. Our archers keep their heads down as heavy orc javelins whistle through the air overhead. And while Roderick is still handily holding off the orcs on the north end, his shield is starting to look a bit worse for wear. Alright, at this point, I think those orcs in the back have used up all their javelins, so they have no choice but to advance now. Ah, and how convenient for them. Fox has just opened up another slot on the front lines for them to fill. Uh-oh. That orc just managed to sneak a shot past Rondis' shield, lightly dinging his armor. That will no doubt incense the warrior into another killing spree. Now, we do need to get someone up north. Roderick's still holding out, but as always, he's being slowly overwhelmed by an excessive number of foes. So, Rondis, what kind of damage can we do here? Switch back to your arming sword. And there's one down. Alright, one orc crippled and then killed, followed by another orc stripped of his bone armor. And Reinhardt, unfortunately, is not yet experienced enough to do the old dagger quick swap. Siren can do some damage. He'll focus on this one with low morale. And while he doesn't kill him, he does break his morale. Ah, and the orcs on the north side finally wised up, realizing they could take out Roderick much more easily if they knock him off elevated. Now Woe is in a dangerous position, unfortunately. But there's only 7 orcs left, and 2 of them are broken, so I think we've got this taken care of, as long as we don't get too careless. Now, Woe would have an easier time striking the target at lower elevation, but the bigger threat is the orc that's directly on him. And now Bunny can fire through the ranks. Ah, there we go. Another orc cleared away. And that conveniently gives her enough action points for one more shot. Ooh, but she's unable to get past the orc's shield. Baggins doles out another crippling blow, shredding that orc's arm muscles. And the rest of our archer brothers will just have to pick shots where they can, though we are rapidly running out of open targets on the battlefield. My god advances and engages a relatively unscathed orc. This one hasn't been touched at all, but now he has. Now Roderick... Whoa, nice. He handily dispatches another orc, leaving our north line almost completely devoid of enemies. Mark will advance and launch an arrow into that orc's thigh. And Siren follows up by plunging his dagger into its chest, killing it, before switching back off to his spear and dispatching a second orc as well. Only 3 orcs remain, 2 of them with broken morale. So now it really just comes down to stopping them before they can flee with our loot. Though this one is still eager for combat. Not terribly effective, though, now that Goon has shattered his fingers. Ah, and his morale is broken, so now it's just a matter of cutting them down before they can reach the edge of the board. Suppose we'll do some end-of-round maneuvering, keeping in mind that these orcs are going to be making a beeline for the north edge. No luck shooting him down with our archers, unfortunately. Let's see what we can do here. These 2 orcs that are locked in combat should be no problem. But that one orc who's already gotten some distance between himself and our lines, might be hard to stop him from escaping. There's an arm wound, but he's still on his feet. Well, one more hit will finish him. one less orc to deal with, I frees up our southern line. Roderick doles out a shattered hand to go with this other orc's broken fingers. And the rest of our mercenaries will start gravitating towards the north, pursuing the final orc. But there he goes, retreating out of sight, just as Siren finishes off the second to last of them. Alright, well, we are probably not going to be able to stop him, but I think this might be time to deploy the secret weapon we've been holding in reserve. Ever since the tragic loss of Wolf, I've been waiting for the opportunity to unleash his replacement, the Goon's new war dog. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a good spot to release it just yet, but we'll get to it as soon as we can. We'll go ahead and begin our pursuit of the orc, because once Jaeger is on the battlefield, we'll hopefully be able to slow him down enough for our other brothers to catch up. Though this might take a moment, so let's go ahead and speed things up a little, just so we don't get too bogged down with chasing this orc all over the battlefield. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is getting a little frustrating. The good news is that Jaeger has been able to handily harass this orc. The bad news is the orc seems so confused and terrified, he hasn't even tried fleeing the board. He just keeps running off at odd angles to get away from Jaeger. Fortunately, he now seems to have angled his retreat to the east instead of the north, which means that the rest of the brothers have a chance to... Well, never mind. Jaeger finally puts down the last of the orcs. Goon is up a level, Henry Baggins is up a level. But it doesn't look like we have any clear-cut MVP. Oh, wait, Kyron. Kyron pulls MVP with 3 kills. And as far as loot goes, it's mostly garbage, but at least it's a few hundred gold worth of garbage. And more importantly, that opens the way to Wholeness Land, where we can collect the rest of our pay. And welcome back. After we delivered our cargo to Wholeness Land, they showed their gratitude by sending us off with more cargo, though thankfully only to the nearby Elkshorn, a town that we're quite familiar with by now. Now at this point, you'll notice our new ambition is to capture our first famed item, which means that I'm shifting our focus for the time being from contract work to instead taking down strongholds, something that the northern reaches have no shortage of. But for now, I thought we'd round out the episode with one last simple fight, this time against a small group of brigand thugs who seem intent on attacking Elkshorn. Since thugs don't really pose much of a challenge to us anymore, I decided to go ahead and give our veteran brothers a bit of a break this time and instead swap in all of our rookies, so they can get some much-needed experience on the battlefield. Alright, what do these thugs and poachers have in store for us? Once again, because we couldn't afford to wait till morning, we're engaged in a nighttime struggle, which fortunately does just as much damage to their poacher's accuracy as it does to our bowman's accuracy. And there's the first of the thugs, clad in little more than sackcloth and clutching cheap weapons. I almost feel sorry for them. Not enough to let them go, but enough to openly pity them at least. Ooh, right. Unfortunately, the rugged forest terrain means we can engage, but we can't actually attack just yet. With the exception of the men who are trained in quick swapping their weapons. I don't know how many are circling around to the south, so for now Siren will hold this choke point here. And the archers will just start firing blindly into these clusters in hopes of landing a lucky shot. Ah, there we go. Wajtek sinks an arrow into that thug's side. And we're drawing some return fire. But the odds are in our favor there. Those poachers aren't particularly accurate even in broad daylight. Alright, let's close out the round and get into round 2. Our archers are up, so once again we will continue firing into these clusters. No joy. Oh, I spoke too soon. There we go. And their woe has mangled that poor thug's hand, which will make him even less of a threat than he already was. Ah, there's a broken nose, swiftly followed by death, with Henry Baggins quickly following up by doling out a pierced lung. Uh-oh. Well, no one's in particular danger, but we do have a badly damaged shield on the field, so Oswald will need to be a little wary. Ah. Ah, well, apparently I didn't need to worry at all, because Igot and Roderick had him covered. Now, Siren is still holding the south side by his lonesome, but for now he seems fine, so we won't worry about him. Instead, we'll start moving our freed-up brothers forward to take out these archers. I'm not particularly scared of them, but if we can take them off the battlefield, I'll feel a little better. You never know when the RNG might turn against you. Nicely done, Bunny. That also breaks the morale of that closer archer. I suppose we should start picking off shots at this other wood axe-wielding thug who's been loitering in the background. Ooh, okay. Yes, we're definitely going to need to move a few brothers south to assist Siren. 2 thugs I think he could easily handle on his own, but at this point he's looking at 3 thugs. Though at least that Axeman is moving in the other direction now. Ah, and there's another punctured lung. Alright, Siren's managed to whittle it down from 3 foes to 2. So perhaps I didn't really need to worry there either. At this point, we only have 5 foes remaining, and it looks like at least one of them is fleeing. There he is. So let's just keep the pressure on. We might take a few more dings to the armor, but hopefully it won't be anything heavier than that. This forest terrain, I hate fighting in forests. It slows everything down, exhausts all your men. Even a simple fight like this one ends up becoming a bit of a slog. I know I've said it before, but I'm still giving serious consideration to using one of our precious few perk slots to pick up the Pathfinder perk. There are plenty of other solid offensive and defensive perks to choose from. but Pathfinder does serve a pretty valuable purpose for terrain like this. It's just that at this point we only have 3 perk slots left on our soldiers that are unspoken for. So we really need to be careful about what we prioritize. Sadly, once we reach level 11, that will be our final perk slot. We'll still be able to increase in levels, but past level 11 we'll only gain a small amount of attribute points. It allows the brothers to continue progressing, but I suppose the decision to max out the number of perks you can learn was done to prevent your brothers from becoming too obscenely overpowered. Alright, I don't see a clear-cut MVP. Siren has 2 kills, though. And the loot is about as disappointing as I would have expected, though we can always use the supplies. Now I'm going to go unload this vendor trash in Elkshorn, and then we'll pick up next time with a stronghold raid. Hey, Retcon Raider here. Once again, there's not much to say. Things are all still moving along quite smoothly, with the raiders handily dispatching each batch of foes they find themselves up against. Now, I know I said last time I was planning on picking up a greatsword and a new recruit this time around, but unfortunately the RNG is still working against us in that regard. I visited 4 different weaponsmiths off-screen, and not one of them had a greatsword for sale. Likewise, none of the big towns we've recently passed through have had any decent-looking recruits. It's nothing but thieves, murderers, and common laborers, and I've got my heart set on recruiting our first proper sellsword, knight, or nobleman. Ah well, perhaps we'll finally luck out when we start plowing through those strongholds. We've already knocked over a few of those things in the past, and have yet to find a single famed item, but we've got to find one sooner or later. In regards to our slowly expanding waiting list, that does mean that Dominic the Shield is still next up for recruitment. Sorry Dominic, I'll get you onto the roster as soon as I can, once the game starts cooperating. And as for the rest of you on the waiting list, don't fret, we just passed day 50 of the campaign, so that means we're right around the corner from seeing the first signs of the endgame crisis. The Raiders are on a roll for now, but we may find ourselves in need of ample reinforcements once the countryside is awash with undead legions or rampaging hordes. But for now, this is Retcon Raider, signing off. Thanks for watching. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Battle Brothers, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, or the fan-run wiki. Links are in the description.